Okay, so I hope that you can see this good enough. I have just finished framing this patio sliding glass door with some molding all around the outer trim, keeping inside the trim. So got it all adhered to the glass with silicone, and I just used some painter's tape to keep it in place so that it wouldn't slip out. And so the next step is to put my molding in these areas where I've laid out my little outline for the style of French door that I want to use. And so I'll be doing that next. Now I'm getting ready to work on the thinner sections on the inside. So I used a wider type molding on the outer sides, and because the door will have to still slide, the doors will have to still slide next to one another, I used a smaller molding with a flat back like that. And it's pretty much squared and flat in the front also, if you can see that. So that's what I'm using. So I'm just going to be cutting, measuring and cutting and adhering this to the door like I did with the previous molding to create my French door effect. So after I cut, I'll show you how I apply it. So just to show you what I'm doing is I'm taking a tape measure, and I've already created like a layout of how I want the French door to be. So I have it laid out with tape, as you can see here. This is going to be one beam going across this way and two going down. So I'm going to start on the cross beams first, start there first, and just measure it with my tape measure. So when I measured it with my tape measure previously, it was at 31.5 inches. So I'm going to measure off my wood and cut it on my miter saw according to that measurement. So please understand that this is the most unprofessional job ever. I am new to DIYs also, so I have no training or anything really other than what my father has showed me on how to do certain things. Don't really have no training when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I'm figuring it out as I go, and none of it is done professionally, but possibly if you do it the way I've done it, it may come out like you want it to or at least good enough, and that's what I'm counting on. So I just took my tape measure and laid it up against my molding, and I'm gonna take a permanent marker and mark my wood at the 31.5 mark, about right there. And I always try to mark it a little bit too much so that if it's too long I can always go back and cut it, whereas if it's too short I've wasted wood and I won't be able to use that piece more than likely. So so that's what I've been doing, kind of over cutting. So next I'm just going to take that wood that I've marked and lay it in my miter box. The good thing about this molding and where it's going to be placed, it's going up against the flat side of the previous molding, so I don't really have to cut it at an angle, which is nice. So I can just cut it straight across. So that's what I'm going to do, is line my wood up where I marked it right into that center part of the miter box where you just get a straight blunt cut, and take my saw and begin to cut.